All right, Garrett Shadbolt. Thanks for
That's me.
joining the program here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Coming all
excited
this
to
way.
have you. I want to come out of the gate with a topic that we have discussed in the past and ask you, what is a cowboy?
What is a cowboy? Well, that's a hard question. If you listen to some country songs, all you need is a jacked up truck and you need to be able to drink beer
Yep.
and probably have a sweet little thing to ride with you, and then you're a cowboy.
Yeah.
I
Easy
don't.
enough.
I'm afraid that I don't think that counts
Yeah.
personally. And I could offend some people, but I mean, cowboy is, in my opinion, someone who works with cattle and knows cattle. That seems pretty self-explanatory to me.
Right.
But it's also a kind of a way and an attitude for sure. But I definitely think that the meaning's been lost a little bit and really romanticized, right? People think cowboys have to have all these certain qualities and certain traits and stuff. But there is a pretty stringent code of ethics and morals and stuff in this community, and this is, in my opinion, one of the most cowboy places in the country, or maybe even the world. I mean, a lot of stuff is still done the same way as it was 100 years ago, right here.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed. I mean, things have changed some. I mean, we're sitting here with a bunch of cameras and everything, but we still go out there and saddle our horses every morning and go move cattle around on horseback. And a lot of people go jump on their four-wheelers and that works for them. But as far as us, I kind of would like to preserve the peace that comes along with riding. And we go out our way to do that. And I think that horsemanship is pretty critical to being a cowboy. And, I don't really know if you can say you're a cowboy if you can't sit a horse.
Right. For sure.
That just seems to be, to me, kind of what it goes with, I suppose. But I don't know if there's a real hard and fast answer, I suppose.
Yeah. I remember, we talked about it, a year ago or so, whatever that was, when we talked about doing the documentary and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things he said that kind of made me laugh was like, everybody's got this idea that the show Yellowstone is what being a cowboy is. And
Yeah.
I got to say that I don't think that's exactly how it goes. I'm pretty sure Garrett's not out here killing 5 people a day. And
I can't say I've watched the show. I watched a little bit of it and I was kind of like, this is a little bit too,
a little too much.
A little too much. Well, and I've got 4 kids at home, so it's not very kid appropriate either.
No,
right?
definitely not.
But yeah, I mean, they got to dramatize things, and I get that. But in general, cowboys are some pretty honest people.
Yeah.
And, there's been some things that have happened. I mean, as far as the dramatization goes, that if you picked out the highlights over the last 70 years, you'd come across some pretty crazy stuff. I mean,
Sure.
in the probably the 60s, I think my great granddad was part of the last posse in this part of the world, and they hunted. The guy went crazy and shot some people, and they hunted him down and shot him up out of a barn. I mean,
Damn.
like, the history is there. Like, this kind of stuff has happened, but it's not like it happens every day. And
Right. It's not a regularly occurring thing.
But heck, if you're going to do a drama, you might as well make it a drama.
Yeah, that's true. You got to keep people watching. So,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to bring up too, you just came off of some injuries here. What was it, last year?
Yeah, I had surgery in February of this year on my hip. It's been bothering me for quite a while. I mean, possibly as far back as a year or more. But bareback riding just takes a lot of use of your hips in a way that God didn't really intend,
Right.
And probably somewhere along the lines, I probably dislocated this hip a little bit and hit bone on bone, and that started forming a bone spur in my left hip.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was riding and using my legs, I was tearing my labrum up in my hip. And so they went in there and they shaved that bone spur off and stitched up that labrum. And the doc said it was pretty good, actually. He said a lot of times that when he does that surgery, it's like putting out fires and just patching bullet holes, but he said it looked pretty good. So I tried to get it taken care of before it got too bad, just with the intention of coming back to rodeo and not retiring, you know what I mean? Like, I try to take care of myself, which is funny because people think I'm reckless, you know, or whatever, but I'm really not reckless. I try to manage my body. It's my main tool, you know?
Yeah, I know. And that's something that myself and a lot of, you know, athletes have talked about is like, you know, they get this bad rap that they're careless, they're reckless and stupid and everything. And it's like, when really they're probably much more calculated than you are. And I mean, you have to be. And then you can't be necessarily completely reckless, because that's how you get hurt. That's how you die.
It is. There's a time to be, I mean, I wouldn't say reckless, but you're all in, you know, if that makes sense. But I would argue that I calculate my risk a lot more seriously than most people, you know, and that in ranching and rodeo. I mean, ranching is dangerous, you know. Totally unrelated story, but not exactly. There was a guy here working on this place. I couldn't tell you the year, quite a long time ago. And this is a story that's been passed down to me. So, you know, I don't know, maybe don't fact check me, but could have been on the neighbor place, who knows? But he got his arm stuck in a baler, a round baler. And this big machine spins, sucks up hay, puts in a round bale. Well, he's back there feeding hay in this round baler, and which you should never do. Right. And it catches and sucks his arm in, and he's got his arm stuck in the round baler. And he took after he was stuck there for a while, he took his jackknife out, cut that arm off. And then since his baler had been plugged up, the clutch was spinning out, so it was all red hot. Well, he took that stump and seared it off on that hot part, and walked his ass home and survived.
What a hard ass.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's tough there. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think that I could do it if I had to, but I don't know. I don't want to find out.
No, could you imagine having to cut your own arm off?
Yeah.
Jesus. I'm just hoping that you're going through enough adrenaline and
you don't even feel it.
You don't feel it. You're just doing work, but that might not completely be the case.
Better hope you sharpened your jackknife that morning.
But yeah, no kidding. But when it comes to, I mean, roughly how many injuries have you had from it?
Not as many as you think, but a few. When I was in high school, obviously I wasn't riding that good. I just started. And that's really the most dangerous part of rodeo, in my opinion, is that learning curve when you're getting it figured out, because you're going to hit the ground a little bit and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
This horse flipped me over, basically chicken flipped me over the front of my rigging and threw his head up, and I hit my face on the back of that horse's head, and it actually broke my orbital and cracked my skull, and that was pretty bad. They did surgery. I was very, very blessed to have one of the top plastic surgeons in the world or in the U.S., I think, maybe happened to be traveling through Scotts Bluff when I showed up there, and he did the surgery and did a heck of a job. I mean, I guess I look fine. But
man, that's lucky.
It was. And then my hip's been a problem, and I mean, I've separated a lot of ribs here and there.
Yeah.
Separated my collarbone from my sternum. And so, like, those two big major things is all I've had in, I don't know how long I've been doing this, since about 2014, 12 years or so, you know. But I've had, you know, I probably strained or tore something in this shoulder and in this knee, but I didn't need any medical intervention for any of those kinds of things. And then, you know, just countless separated ribs and bruises and all that stuff.
Is there ever a time when those things happen where you're laying there or laying in the hospital where you think, like, this is the last time I'm doing this shit?
You know, I definitely had that thought go through my head after when I was in high school and I broke my face, because I was fresh in it. But since then, after I recovered, I was like, I feel like I want to get on another bucking horse. And I got on another bucking horse after that, I think 6 or 7 weeks after that surgery, and spurred him, which I hadn't spurred a lot of bucking horses at that time, but it was a really nice bareback horse. Went out there and just I got him gathered up and actually spurred him, and I was like, man, I had the bug, Like
Yeah.
after that, I had the bug, and I can't say I've really been laying in the hospital since. I had this hip surgery, but that was not a big obstacle. Of course, today's my comeback from the surgery, so we'll see how it feels, But I never had any intention of hanging it up after the hip deal.
Well, like, one of the things that is just really crazy to me about working, since I've started working with like extreme sports athletes, is their ability to push through pain and keep going. An example, I was in California last month, and one of the riders at this compound that I was at, he hit the ramp in the wrong gear. He wasn't in second, he was in first. I don't know how he messed it up exactly, but right in front of me, like 15 feet from me, he obviously came up short. He hit the back end of the ramp, of the landing ramp, broke his femur. We had to cut his boot off, his pants off, and all that.
Is that bone sticking out?
It was not sticking out, but 3 weeks later, he was back to riding.
Yeah.
So it's very crazy to me, like the way that, guys can just keep pushing through. What is the conversation like in your head when your body says no, but your brain's telling you, like, let's keep going?
Well, so adrenaline's an amazing thing.
Yes, it is.
And there's been quite a few times when I'm hurting real bad and I'm like, oh man, this rib is separated and this is hurting me or whatever, but I'm just like, just get in the chute. If you can just get in the chute, my focus is going to come on to that animal so intensely that pain's not going to be an issue anymore. It just won't be a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, to a certain degree, there's just pain mixed in with bareback riding. Like during the ride, there's just kind of pain.
Yeah, well, I can imagine.
There's just
you're getting tossed around.
Massive torsion across your body and all sorts of stuff. But like, it's kind of such a blur of reaction and adrenaline and managing your adrenaline and stuff. I can block out a lot of pain while I'm riding. Now it does really suck when you go to get off and you're just like, oh,
yeah,
I hurt now, And I have found that if I'm sliding up on my rig and I'm getting a lot of pain, I can shake my ride a little bit. When I had some separated ribs, and I did have to take some time off when I separated my collarbone from my sternum because, the instant before I was nodding my head, I'm trying to lift down on that thing and it's just like,
yeah.
And then really what happens is the pain doesn't so much slow me down as my body will start to shut things off. Your arm will kind of give up on you and stuff because of the pain. But I think pushing through pain is something that you train into you, really.
Something that you work into
over time. Look at people who cold plunge. The first time you get into cold plunge, you about cry. And I don't know if you like cold plunges.
I've done it. Yeah, I went like a solid year one time where I was doing it every day. And
really?
Yeah, I got to the point where I was up to every morning. I was getting up to like 12 to 14 minutes in like 42 degree.
Gnarly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you just build up to it,
And I haven't in years. If I was to try and
jump
in right now, I'd lock up and whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good way to put it. Like, to put it in perspective is, it's something you have to work at and keep going, which is like, it's a crazy thing to do to yourself, I guess. Like,
yeah. I do take pain pretty seriously because, especially like with this hip thing, like it wasn't that painful for a long time. It was just kind of a nagging pain, but it was always a sharp pain. And then my mobility was getting a little bit less.
Yeah.
A little bit less. I'd get pain as soon as my foot came to here, as soon as my foot came to here. And then I got talking to some of my buddies who have had this same surgery and they waited too long and they freaking broke bone spurs off in there and destroyed the cartilage and stuff, So it's like, pain is your guide here. And I'm like, I need to get this taken care of before it gets out of hand so that way I have a chance to come back and not ruin myself. And, but it's always touch and go. And this hip deal, they imaged it, and they really didn't know what they're getting at until they got in there. It's so hard for them to see what's going on. So, you do have to be at a certain, most people aren't going to be able to actually push their body past into injury. But I think with professional athletes and bareback riders especially, our pain tolerance is high enough we can self-destruct.
Yeah, you can keep pushing through.
Yeah.
So that's a good segue into, I've explained to you that like one of the points of this podcast is to try and make people like yourself seem more human to normal people, because like normal people watch what you do or any like extreme sport athlete, if you will. And I mean, how many times have you heard like, oh, they're so stupid, or what are they thinking?
Sure.
It's hard for people to wrap their head around it. What would you say to people that would like make it make sense to them as to why you put yourself through the danger and the fear of doing it? What, like the risk versus reward, if you will?
So, two things. Anybody can push themselves through that much pain. Anybody can. But if you climb a mountain, you don't sprint to the top. Like I said, it's an incremental thing, And I built that up over hundreds of rides. I was way softer when I was 18 years old. You know what I mean? And then I went through college wrestling and some serious conditioning through that. And hard things make you tougher. Everybody knows that. So, anybody can achieve that with small incremental pushes, if that makes sense. Now, on the risk versus reward front, I think that I don't know that everybody necessarily has experienced this, but the reward of a bareback ride is a certain type of flow state that is very, very, very fun, very rewarding. I don't know if everybody's really gotten this. Probably everyone's gotten some sort of a feel for what it might be like, but you hit that perfect golf drive, or I don't know, I would assume in the motocross world, ace that double backflip or whatever.
Yep.
That your brain is hardwired to push yourself to the limit of your ability. And when you get to the limit of your ability and you come away from that successfully, you just get a endorphin drop. And that's just the truth of the matter. And bareback riding is something of like a bit of a dance where you don't necessarily go out there and just beat your head against the wall. Like people think that it's just all pain and whatever. But when you go out there and like ace a ride and you make it perfect, it doesn't hurt at all. No. I mean, it's not hard on your body at all. And you can just cut loose and walk away from there and you feel great, because every little motion that horse is making, you are in perfect rhythm with them, and you're making the correct adjustments in your body. So instead of that power hitting you and doing something bad to you, you're going with it, if that makes sense. And it's just a bit of a hard thing to explain, but I do think people would notice a little bit more in like bull riding, especially because a really nice bull ride looks easy, right? Yeah. That bull's doing everything and that guy just stays right in the middle.
Yep.
And the bareback ring can look deceptive because shit's flying.
It definitely looks more violent. There's no doubt about it.
Looks more violent, but in reality, they are the same in the way where if you're in the right spot, doing the right thing at the right instant, it's easy and it's not hard on you. So, you get a couple rides like that where you just have that perfect ride and everything goes right, and you can really get hooked on that feeling.
Yeah.
It's 100% addictive,
I bet. And I think the most relatable way, not necessarily for me, but for the average person that's ever been explained, I think would be what you said a little bit ago, where you said it's like hitting the perfect golf drive.
Sure. Yeah.
You put a lot of work and a lot of frustration into golf. And when you do get, you sink a putt, you get a gnarly drive, you chipped right onto the green. It's very rewarding because you did put a lot, if you're getting to the point where you can do that, you've already put a lot into it.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a pretty good analogy to use for, there's not a lot of risk involved with golf, obviously.
Right.
But, it's just, I'm trying to get people to wrap their head around like why does a guy base jump off of a building? Why does a guy bareback ride,
Well,
it's and I realize it's like impossible to explain to them.
A little bit. I mean, shoot, I can get a pretty big thrill from beating somebody in a game of chess. I'm a pretty avid chess player.
Right? Are you?
And it's not like I'm not even doing that much. I'm just messing around on the phone. But I mean, everyone gets, when you get that dialed in and everything's just right, and the preparation you put in and everything works out the way it was supposed to, and your body does something. It's a good feeling. And like I said, I think human nature is kind of hardwired into wanting to push the envelope, and you have an innate desire to do something amazing, do the most that you can. And I'd encourage everyone to find out, what is the best you can do? Where is that? How far can you go? Like whether you're running or working out or golfing or whatever, you might as well just push it all the way to be the best that you can. And once you get to the top of that mountain, wherever it is, everyone has different talent abilities, and you can kind of say, well, I think I've figured out what I'm capable of here,
Yeah, no, I agree. I just love the idea, and I love just pushing myself as far as I can in something, because I do, not in a dangerous way, but like I do get obsessed about things. And,
Sure.
Working out is a good example of it. It's like, I'd have people ask me, like, before I got sick, when I was a hell of a lot more muscular, it's like, why do you want to be muscular? Who cares? I'm like, I just want to see what it takes to look a certain way or be able to lift a certain amount or whatever. It's fun setting goals and trying to achieve them and pushing yourself.
Well, and you don't want to die an old man and never know how much you could have lifted that one time.
Right.
What is it, that famous bodybuilder, Ronnie Coleman? He's a super jacked guy. And they're like, he like ruined his back. He's like crippled up, and they're like, do you ever regret squatting 1,000 pounds? And he's like, the only thing I regret is not putting another plate on.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he's freaking in a wheelchair crippling around, but like, I guess he found out exactly how far he could push his body.
Yeah, no, he went to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone were to want to pursue a career or a life in rodeo like you do, what would you tell them?
I can speak most about bareback riding because that's what I'm good at. But my wrestling background has been critical to my bareback riding. I would have never been any good at bareback riding if I hadn't wrestled.
Why's that?
Because I had developed enough mental toughness to even get in the buck and shoots in the first place. And other people have different ideas about how to get mentally tough enough to do it, but you need to be pretty built up.
Yeah.
Mentally sound, be able to take some pain, and be straight up strong enough and athletic enough, because
Sure.
this is the real deal, and bareback riding takes a certain degree of strength. Now, bull riding, on the other hand, with enough talent, with enough finesse, I don't know that it really requires much strength at all. I'm not a bull rider, so I guess some people would probably disagree, but I think most bull riders would agree with me that if you ace a bull ride, it's not going to take much strength. You can probably ride with your pinky. Now, bareback riding, even with a nice horse and a perfect spur ride, you got to have some strength in your legs. You got to have some speed in your legs. You got to have some strength in your arm. Like it's the most physical of the three rough stock events. So the wrestling really helped me a lot because it developed my character and my toughness, but also all the posterior chain muscles and the speed and the strength that I actually needed. And then the next thing I would really say has probably benefited me the most as an athlete is riding a horse around bareback, not with a rig, and I just mean bareback.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have access to that, but it's a cowboy sport, and I would put myself out there to say that I can ride my horse around bareback probably better than 99% of the people anywhere, because I do it all the time, and it's a whole different skill set. Riding with a saddle is one thing, but riding around bareback is very difficult, and it's slippery, and you got to have good balance, and you got to have really strong groin, and it's just not very easy. But we've got rough hills all over this place and cattle to turn back and stuff. And I would have rode bareback this morning, but I'm riding tonight in North Platte, and my hip's been a little bit questionable, so I didn't really want to torch it today before I rode.
Don't mess with it before you go ride.
It's a torture of a workout to go ride around for 4 or 5 hours bareback through these hills. And
yeah, I mean, I could see how that would be like a really good way to train for it, is to actually just do it in a real world setting.
Yeah, so I mean, riding my horse around bareback is quite a bit different than riding a bucking horse, you know, because you're laid back and you're sparring and stuff. But you're using all the same muscles and the balance, and you're getting a feel for a horse. You know, there is a horsemanship aspect to this that has been lost a little bit, I think, to some of the younger guys coming up. We were getting more just athletes coming on to the scene.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot more money in rodeo than there used to be.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, it used to be ranch hands. That's all it was. Mm-hmm. And we're getting professional athletes trickling in now because the money's so good, you know.
But why is that changed? Why is the money better in rodeo now than it was?
Yellowstone.
Is it really?
You know, Yellowstone helped a lot.
Yeah.
Cowboy's cool again.
Yeah.
And I mean, cowboy was never not cool if you ask me, but
sure.
The attention's been really boosted in the sport, and social media's helped. People live very risk-adverse lives, so it's getting to be more and more interesting to see what these crazy guys are doing.
Right.
I don't know, but rodeo's on the upswing, and it's gotten a lot bigger, and there's gotten a lot more money in it, and it's starting to draw in a lot more. You know, it used to be, even when my dad was growing up, my granddad wouldn't let him rodeo. He's like, nah, you're not gonna go rodeo. Those rodeo cowboys are always broke and they're always hurt.
Yeah.
You know, they don't make any money. And even when Dad was growing up, there wasn't much money in it. Like, unless you were like the top 5 or 8 guys, you were hardly making a living doing it. And now we've got the top 25 bareback riders who are making a living doing this, you know.
Which is cool.
And that means that's 10 guys that aren't even making the NFR. And that's where, you know, the National Finals Rodeo is where half of the money in the season can be for a lot of people, you know.
Yeah.
But there's guys that don't even make the NFR and are gonna make a living at it. And I'm way far behind after 3 months off on surgery. And I'm still gonna go out and rodeo because I don't have to make the NFR to make a living. I can just go to rodeos and win money. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for young guys to get into it.
For the young guys getting into it, where does the money come from? Is it in sponsors? Is it in winning events?
You've got to win money. You're not gonna, in my experience, trying to wrangle money from sponsors is like chasing cats.
Yeah.
And if you happen to catch one, that's a great boon for you.
Right.
But you can't count on it. And that's the difference between rodeo and other sports, is like there's no guaranteed paycheck. Like, you show up and you win or you go broke. Like, you can die by the sword in this sport. You know,
not to pick on golf, but it's not like golf where if you're pro, even the guy in last place wins pretty decent check.
No, you get paid 6 or 8 holes, and there'll be 40 or 50 or 60 guys at the rodeo. Yeah. 6 or 8 guys are walking away with any money at all, and 8th place is like paying for fuel. Yeah. So, you know, they really like to put all the winnings to the guy who wins, because it looks cool when you're advertising a rodeo. It says, oh, the purse is $8,000, $10,000, you know, $50,000. Well, number one guy gets 50, Houston. Well, it's more now, but, you know, 50, 25, 12, 6. No one else gets paid. Like, that's how I've been to a rodeo like that before, you know, and it's like, oh, congrats, you made it all the way into the finals and you got 5th place, and here's a check for $500 to go home.
Yep.
You know, like 3 points higher and you'd have won $50,000, but.
Yeah. But I feel like that probably also keeps guys hungry, you know, and coming back for more and maybe wanting to work harder. Yeah.
I mean, you know, a guy who is hurting for money and a rodeo cowboy that wants to keep rodeoing and is out of money, he'll ride pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
He's like, I gotta win some money so I don't have to go get a job.
Right. You hate to have to go back to a job.
Yeah.
So so there's a lot more money in it now. It's blowing up. Where would you personally like to see rodeo in the future?
So I would hope that the sponsors start coming in. I would hope these sponsors start coming in a little more seriously and start paying guys just to compete, you know? Like, and if it keeps getting more popular, that should happen. I think it's more of a deal in the motocross world, isn't it? I mean, those guys are getting some pretty good sponsor deals. And
Yeah, they get pretty good sponsor deals. It's not like it was in like the late 90s and the 2000s when like freestyle motocross specifically was huge. But there's still big sponsors out there.
well, and I think the sponsors have picked up just right along with rodeo. But I'd really hope that in a couple, 5 or 8 years, the sponsors are really more mainstream and more guys are just getting paid just to go rodeo. 'Cause it's so competitive, and it's so crappy when you show up at a rodeo and you're 2 points behind the winner and you get paid $25,000 less.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my gosh, so, you're out there making great rides and performing in front of thousands of people. And I think there is a big advertising deal there. So I hope the sponsors get there. And yeah, I mean, I just think the purse is going to get crazy. I don't know if we're going to catch up to like football and Major League Baseball or anything like that, but
No.
yeah, I mean, I think Stetson won over $1 million last year, which he's winningest rodeo cowboy there ever was. But I think the money's going to get there, and it's going to get to be more and more.
And $1 million, that's
career.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Yeah. Well, I know Richmond champion, RC Landingham, they're both buddies of mine, and they both won $1 million riding bareback horses at one shot. RC won $1 million at a WCRA rodeo, and Richmond won $1 million at the American back in like 2016 or something. But
Damn.
yeah, pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
It's like, well, do you get the lump sum or do you do the payout?
Right.
Crazy.
Speaking of the future of rodeo, you have 4 kids.
Yeah.
Would you like to see any of your kids in the future of rodeo?
Well, there's a rope and shoot back there. I don't really like roping very much.
Yeah.
I can do it. I can chase a calf down and catch them, but never really just never really lit my fire. As far as rodeo goes, I'd love to see my kids do it and I'll help them do it, but I'm not really going to be pushing them to rodeo. Especially George, my boy. I got 1 boy, 3 girls. Rough stock riding it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And would I be pretty pumped to take him to a rodeo and help him cinch down on a bareback horse? Yeah. Would I be scared shitless? Yeah.
Yeah. I'd imagine that wouldn't make you nervous.
And I'm not even going to think too hard about it because I didn't want anything to do with rodeo at all until I was like 18.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, heck no, I ain't doing that. That's a stupid idea. I don't want anything to do with that. And when I was probably 17, I had a colt that I was riding. And that sucker, jug-headed sucker, would buck with me fairly frequently. And he'd usually buck pretty hard. And I always stuck him in my ranch saddle. And after I did that a couple times, I was like, this is pretty fun, actually.
Yeah.
So I got in some ranch bronc ridings and rode those. And then I was like, well, Dad, because he rode barebacks, I was like, well, why don't you get me set up with the bareback rigging, and kind of, well, I got on a bunch of saddle bronc horses too, which I think saddle bronc riding's easier on the body, especially for learning.
Yeah.
Bareback riding, you get hung up and drug around some when you get started, but.
Which looks super fun.
Absolutely terrible. 0 out of 10, would not recommend.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
Yeah, bareback riding's, for people who don't know, when you ride a bareback horse, you put this glove on, and it's got a knob right here and right here, and you wedge it into your bareback rigging. And then when you close your hand, those knobs kind of swell up, and it locks in there. So your hand is locked into your rigging. Now, that doesn't stop you from getting bucked off, but it allows you to lean way back and throw your weight into your hand and not just get ejectocito.
Right.
You can't throw, if the horse jumps ahead and you throw your entire body weight into one hand with the force of the horse, your grip strength ain't that strong. It'll rip you out. But so we lock ourselves in on that right hand, but the downfall of that is if you buck off this direction, you're stuck. You can't open your hand, and you're going to drag until you get either your glove works out or someone comes and saves your ass, you know,
Yeah.
or you get back over on the other side. Because if I buck off this way, my hand will come open. But so that level of commitment scares off a ton of rough stock guys. There's less bareback riders than bull riders or saddle bronc riders, big time. I mean, bareback riders are a sparsely populated deal. And yeah, to that matter, I'd say if you're tough enough and whatever, crazy enough, whatever you want to say, I think there's going to be money in it because the numbers are still going down in the bareback riding and the prize money's still going up. But, you know, that level of commitment's a little bit hard for some people to swallow.
Yeah, that one takes quite a bit for somebody to really want to get into it.
You got to you got to be all in. You run your hand off in there and that's that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being all in, and also piggybacking off of asking about your kids, what lessons do you hope your kids take away from watching their dad take the risks that he takes doing something as dangerous as bareback?
Well, the kids get to see the stuff that goes on at home. The work.
Yeah.
The hard work. The getting on the buck machine. The working out in the weight room. You know, they know what it means to give something your all. Whether I don't know that kids are all that impressed with like fame and fortune. I never really was. Still not. I've never really rode bucking horses because I like fans cheering. It holds no appeal to me at all.
Right.
I could ride just as good with the stands empty. And that's just the truth of the matter. Okay, maybe not. That'd be a little weird if it was dead silent. I have rode that way a couple times and I'm not used to it. But I'm not focusing on the crowd, you know, like I'm focusing on the ride. And the kids, they've seen the hard work that I put in, and I've taught my kids. A lot of people get pretty nervous about my parenting strategies.
Yeah.
Honestly, because and people get a little nervous around this community. So if I took my kids to the city, they'd be freaking out.
Yep.
I mean, my 2-year-old can climb over that fence over there. Guarantee you that. You know, like. Or she could when she was 2, you know, she'd climb up into trees and all sorts of stuff. But I teach my kids how to measure risk. I'm like, if you climb up that, you can fall off of that and it's going to hurt. And then I'll go over there. I'm not going to help them climb, but I'll say, you put your hand there, you put your hand there, put your foot there, you put your foot there. And I'm teaching them how to manage risk. And that's something that I've done. You know, if you want to climb up that, you can, but you got to decide whether it's worth it or not. And I hope that my kids will see the backside. They don't just see, oh, he's crazy and wild and doing this dangerous thing. They see what it means to do something that's risky, but rewarding, and figure out how to balance that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to teach them, or one of the things I'm trying to teach them, you know?
No, it seems like some solid lessons to get out of all of it is, you know, I think it's real important to me because, I mean, it was real important to my old man to make sure that I knew hard work and what it takes to get what you want. So that's, I mean, that makes sense. That your opinion being the best lesson that they could learn from all of it is that you get a lot of reward for it, but you work your ass off in the meantime.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's not going to happen on its own. And I mean, the rodeo and it's one thing, but I'm hopefully teaching these kids a lot more from ranching. You know, I mean, this is what I grew up doing, and you know, my kids will know how to work.
Yeah.
You know, George is 6, but he hasn't really got put to work too hard just yet, and that's okay. But he's dang sure going to know how to do something before he gets very old at all.
Hell yeah.
Because that's not how we raise kids around here. It's not sit at home and have your mommy and daddy wipe your butt until you're 18 and then kick them out the door and tell them to go find a job. That I would say that has failed in this society, you know? And it's like, yeah, he's 18 and you can't pour piss out of a boot. It's like, well, what did you expect? Did you ever teach him how to do anything? It's like, no. It's like, you know, he's going to know how to do stuff at a young age, and he's going to know what work looks like. I mean, I want to preserve childhood as much as I can, but they're going to be working.
No, absolutely. I think that's great. Because, yeah, I mean, you do see, and we all know people that have not necessarily been spoon-fed their whole childhood, but didn't have to work for shit. And then they go out into the world and they're a disaster. Because they didn't learn how to work, not necessarily work their asses off, but work for what you want and what you need.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's also a fine balance when it comes to ranching, because I do know that you can run your kids off of a ranch. It's happened. You work your kids too hard and they won't want to do this lifestyle. They'll say, screw this, I'm going to go do something else. So it's a fine balance.
Yeah.
But what we did this morning, we went out and moved those cows, and beautiful sunrise, cool weather, cows are moving good, and I am appreciating it. When I was younger, I never appreciated that at all.
No.
Just work.
Well,
that's what I had grown up doing. I went out there and did that. I'd just be pissed that I had to get up at 4 in the morning.
Yep.
So leaving the ranch for a while definitely changed my mind a lot about appreciating stuff and that. But it's easy as a kid to just be like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
look at your buddies that go work at the pool during the summer.
Right.
And I'm getting up at 4 and move cows and then going to the hayfield,
Yeah. Then you got to go to the hayfield. It doesn't just stop with the cows. What kind of brings me to the next thing. What are some common misconceptions about ranch life?
Oh man.
From outsiders.
Where do you even get you started?
Yeah, that's a very open-ended, windy question there.
Chocolate milk does not come from brown cows, so
Mm-hmm. Drop that down.
Drop that one down. Gosh, I would go right out and say that beef is the healthiest thing you can buy anywhere for a food source. It's gonna get you all your nutrients you need. You can survive on beef alone. It's been done.
Yeah.
Cattle are ruminant animals. They have several stomachs, and they can process roughage grass that is good for not much else into high quality protein. And they do that through processing it a ton. So it's a natural factory that's producing some really high quality protein and stuff. And you don't need to go get factory made tofu, but these cows, they're taking the brunt of any sort of environmental toxin out because they're doing the processing for you, and it makes it some really good stuff to eat. People have a lot of misconceptions about steroids and hormones and antibiotics, and I'll point fingers at other industries. Go look at other industries. We're doing a million times better than them. And this operation right here is actually organic. And I believe in the organic label because the consumer is so uneducated.
Yeah.
We were organic before the label.
Yeah.
We barely changed anything. But everything else is so crappy that the consumer needs to have an organic label just to know that it's not full of friggin' preservatives and chemicals,
Yeah.
So, if I could, I'd probably go back to using steroids. We did that. It's very common in the industry, and the steroids is a small little pellet that they put in the calf's ear, and it releases some growth hormone and helps them grow big, fast, I don't see
Juices them up a little bit.
Juices them up, it's like, you're eating the meat. You're not eating, they're not going to cut that out of it. That's not going to go into the product. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if the consumer doesn't want antibiotics and growth hormones, then we dang sure aren't going to do it,
Yeah.
And if I see a sick calf, I'm going to go rope him and doctor him with antibiotic. We did that this morning. And he's going to get marked and he'll come out of the program. So he'll go into the regular beef supply and he won't be in the organic program. Okay. Because that removes him from the program. But I'm not going to ride by and not doctor that calf.
Sure.
Because he'll get sick and die.
Yeah, for sure.
But when we doctor stuff, we selectively doctor, a couple head here and there. We see one sick, we go rope them, we give them their antibiotics. That trace amount of antibiotics in your meat is not going to hurt you. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
But hey, consumers always right. So if they don't want it, then we'll take it out.
And they're,
and
yeah,
send
the
it somewhere
consumer's
else.
always right. They're the ones buying it. So it's
Right.
like,
Right. But,
you know,
other misconceptions is like, the structure of the operation is we're the bottom of the pyramid. So we're like the most wholesale in this operation. We're getting the calves from birth. So a lot of people think that cattle are raised in a feedlot. They sit in that smelly mud and eat corn their whole life. And because they see feedlots, they're usually close to the town. Well, we and everyone else raise cattle on a pasture land. And we have a whole herd of mama cows. They have a calf every year. They have that calf. That calf gets raised till a year and a half. Then they go spend about 90 days in the feedlot. And that puts on that white fat that's so tasty that everybody loves. And then they go to the kill floor. So they're not spending their whole life standing in a feed yard.
right.
And cattle are not super smart animals. I don't feel bad eating a cow.
Yeah.
They will be very happy to stand out there in the mud and eat corn all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's kind of the main bugaboos, I guess, that I have with
Misconceptions.
just misconceptions. People think a lot of crazy things, and I don't even know what they all think, but I've
They
definitely.
don't even know what they think.
They don't know what they think. And they think, oh, this beef comes from China. This isn't American beef. Oh, it's pumped full of chemicals. Go to any grocery store and buy a prime cut steak. That's raised in the U.S.
Yeah.
They don't make prime beef in other parts of the world. Prime beef comes from here.
Yeah.
Because they don't finish cattle in Argentina and Uruguay. They just go round them up out of the jungle and send them on a truck. They're grass-fed beef that's lean, it's chewy. But if you go buy anything that's mostly choice, surely prime, it's going to be from here. Yeah. And very possibly from right here. Because we're
very local.
Yeah, we're raising some of the best beef in the world right here, no doubt. Might end up getting fed in Texas or something. You never know. But
which is cool to think about.
Yeah, there's 90,000 head feedlots down in Texas and stuff, like huge ones. But they're cycling so much beef through there. Like I said, nothing's really staying there longer than 90 days. So.
Yeah, it's pretty in and out.
It is, yeah.
What are some, so we went over misconceptions that people have about ranch life. What do you think are some values that a lot of people in modern society today could take from ranch life?
Well, hard work. Yeah. And hard work from a young age, no doubt. Personally, in this ranch here, we're a really close family. This is a family ranch. My family is operating this place. We've got a little bit of outside help, but just working with your family in a way that you actually stay in a community and work together, I think that's the way God intended it, Yeah. And people in modern society break up their families. They go work over here. You go work over there. You turned 18, get out of the house, go to the college, go find a job somewhere else. That's not really how it was for the last couple 1,000 years. You stayed in a community. You worked together.
Yep.
And I trust my family more than pretty much anyone, we grew up together, like my sisters and me, and due to being raised well and being honest with each other and stuff, we still get along, So having a family that all can work out here, like, if you don't like doing this, we'll find you a job, but let's stay in a community here and keep working together. But I think that probably the three things would be just hard work, honesty in your family ties, and then there's a certain amount of pride that comes in this culture. We are a prideful culture, probably to a bit of a fault. But ranchers really take pride in their land and their cattle and their legacy. So, my granddad did this, my great-granddad did this, my great-great-granddad did this. I'm George the Fifth. I'm George Garrett Shadbolt. I'm the fifth George in a row. We all go by our middle names because it's less confusing. Oh, but yeah. My great-great-granddad would roll over in his grave if I put a wind turbine on the top of that hill over there.
Oh, you would.
And so I'm not going to disrespect what these other men have built up for generations. And that's important to me. And it's really important to this culture in general because they worked so hard. They came over here in a covered wagon and freaking homesteaded this,
Yeah.
like, and they had to live here in a shack for a year just to get 30 acres, or what, like, my granddad still has some of the original land deeds. As at one time, mostly during the 30s and the early 1900s, people that came over here and homesteaded started to leave. It didn't work for them. They left. They tried to farm it. A lot of them tried to farm it. It didn't work. And my great granddad was buying their land when they left, So he's got these original land deeds.
That's pretty cool.
So each pasture on this place, most of the pasture on this place are named after the people that homesteaded it. Like the Charlie Dahlgren pasture, the China pasture, the Jones. That was the last name of the family that originally homesteaded that section.
That's really pretty badass.
Yeah, it's super cool to see those old deeds. But, between, people going broke and farming it and deciding it was too tough. But I mean, gosh, before there was windmills over here and fences, and I can see why I've been to Oregon. I can see why they drove right by here on the Oregon Trail and they kept on going.
Yeah.
It's a gold mine now because we know how to turn grass into cattle and we've got it figured out. But like at the time, you couldn't. Everyone wanted to farm. And you can't farm here. It's just sand,
Yeah.
And there's people that tried to farm it. You can still see from the air different pieces of land that are you can see in the ground, like where they tried to plow it and stuff.
Yeah.
From even now.
Ain't working.
It didn't work.
Unless you're growing cactus or grass, it ain't working.
Grows grass pretty good.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, so hard work, sense of community is...
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the gist of...
Yeah, I mean, just working hard, your trusting your family and being honest with people around you. I definitely think that's a big core value. And then legacy, and being mindful of what's been done before. I don't go throw something away that somebody worked their whole life at.
Right. So what's next for Garrett?
Well, I'm going to crack back out. I'm going to North Platte today. First one back. Kind of a hometown rodeo. Got a lot of family from there. I've won it twice. Got a pretty cool horse. And I mean, if I could get dealt the right cards this year, I'd try and go to the NFR. I got a long ways back. But otherwise, I'm just going to maintain my position this year in rodeo and be able to crack out next year. You were asking me earlier, like, do your injuries ever make you think about hanging it up? And my injuries haven't really made me think about hanging it up. But the day the kids start asking me to stay home, I'll probably stay home.
Yep. That'll make you hang.
If the kids or the wife tell me to stay home, I'm not going to go because they're way more of a priority to me than rodeoing. But hey, in the meantime, young and healthy, and there's money to be won and good bucking horses to ride. So I'm going to be out there going for it.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, look forward to watching you here later and see what happens.
Let's do it.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, buddy.